Rev up your engines!
Eric Peshier says, what is too many kilometers to change the transmission fluid on a standard? Okay, there is no such thing as too many for a standard. Here's the thing. In an automatic transmission car, yes. If it gets too many miles, you change it, the fluid makes it shift, goes through little holes. It's working on dirty fluid that has more friction, and the car actually drives on fluid friction. So you put in new slippery fluid, it might slip. But in a standard with manual transmission, I change it every 60, 80,000 miles or so. But if you haven't, still change it, because all that is splash lubrication. The gears are in the oil, the gears spin, they splash lubrication, and so who cares? It's not going to hurt anything. It's only going to have cleaner fluid. There is no slippage in a manual transmission. The gears are touching each other. They're all gauged and the oil lubricates. They're not like an automatic transmission that work by fluid pressure. They just work by gears. The fluid in an automatic transmission makes it shift. The fluid in the standard transmission just lubricates it and helps cool it down, of course. But changing it at any time is a good thing. Salo says, I bought a 2018 Audi Q5 with 50,000 miles. I'm worried about the 2.0 liter turbo. I changed it every 7,000 miles. The dealership said I should do a fuel system antifreeze cleaner. Your thoughts? All right. You only got 50,000 miles, so it's shouldn't be bad yet. Change the antifreeze yourself. You can put Bernie, my friend Bernie, ATS, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Google that and you'll see he sells cleaner. Put the cleaner in yourself and do it. You only have 50,000 miles. Generally, the engines last longer. Now, you change the oil every 7,000 miles. Change it every 5 and use a new GF6 oil. That's the correct viscosity for your car. It's a generic type of oil, GF6. It's not a brand name. So get any of them that say GF6. I like the Castrol, but you can buy whatever you want, right? Change it every 5 and see what lasts. You never know. My neighbor's got one down the street. He's got 130 on his, and it doesn't burn oil yet. He changes the oil every 5,000 miles. So, you never know. It could last. They are terrible engines as they age, but if you baby them, they could last a while. But that is the worst engine that Volkswagen and Audi ever made. I know Audi mechanics, and they say, Scotty, we change dozens of these every month. Those 2-liter turbos just blow all the time. Constant Growth says, 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander with 146,000 miles on it. All right? I wouldn't buy it. Too many miles. Mitsubishis are okay cars, but they're not great cars. They're not like a Toyota, Honda. Might go 3, 4, 500,000 miles. The Mitsubishis never do. Let's say it was dirt cheap. So if it was dirt cheap, road test it. If the transmission works good, backwards, forwards, take it on the highway, doesn't shimmy, doesn't slam into gears, and when you decelerate, doesn't start clunking when it's decelerating, that means the train is still working. If you get a dirt cheap, hey, a knock-around car, what the heck? But I would not pay any type of serious money for that thing because that's the mileage when they start turning into endless money pits. Scotty Kilmer fan says, Scotty, what do you think about Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 2020? Is it a good car? Will it last long? Okay, well, it's a 2020, okay? That means, what is it? It's a used Mustang. It's a very fast used Mustang. The people who buy those GT500s generally drive them like a maniac. I had one for a week. Ford gave me it. I drove it around. I drove it like a maniac. If you see some of those old intros that I had in my videos going down the street in West Bell in Houston, you couldn't even see the road anymore. It was smoking so much because I was burning the tires, right? I got 3 miles a gallon on that thing. Would I ever want to buy that car after guys like me drove it? No, I wouldn't. That is the problem. Now, they're solid built cars. Strong engines, strong transmissions, but what did the previous owner do with it? Let's say the guy baby garaged it. It's got 15,000 miles. It still might be a great car, but maybe if a guy's selling at his house, maybe ask his neighbors, does he drive like a maniac in this thing? If you know the guy, ask all your friends, does he drive like a maniac? And if he does, do not buy it. Kayleen Gotcho says, Scotty, what do you think about 2014 to 2018 BMW X1? Okay, one of the biggest money pit vehicles ever made. A friend of mine was an anchor at CBS in Houston. He bought one, and he told me, he said, Scotty, this is the biggest money pit car I have ever bought. He did buy it used, and he said, ugh. So what did he do? He bought a Lexus and then had no problems. Those things are gigantic money pit cars. Here in Rhode Island, they go to the Newport Polo Grounds with them to show off while they're watching the polo. You got money to burn. You light your cigars with $100 bills. Go ahead and get one. It's your money. But if you value your money and your sanity, don't do it. MC says, Scotty, I got an 02 Altima V6 with spark failure on cylinder 3. Is there any way to test the ignition coil for malfunction before I buy one? Yeah, it's real easy. That's number 3. Take that ignition coil off of number 3, put it on number 5, put 5 on 3, drive it around. Erase the codes, then drive it around. If the code now changes to misfire 5, you know the coil's bad. Simple test. That's the one big advantage of modern cars. Most of them all have coil on plugs. All you got to do is swap it from one to the other. If the misfire changes, that's it. Now, let's say it doesn't. Well, it could be a fuel injector. You can also swap fuel injectors, but that's a much bigger job. You got to take a bunch of crap apart, and then when you move the fuel injectors, you're going to have to buy new rubber O-rings or they'll leak. So it's a real pain in the butt checking fuel injectors, taking it all apart. But coil on plugs, you just take it up, put it on another one, put the other one there, erase it with a scan tool, drive it. If the code goes back to the other cylinder, you know it's just the coil. Always start with logical stuff first, and that's the one thing about ignition coil systems when they have coil and plug. They got one for each cylinder, so you can swap them, and then if the misfire moves, that's it. Because they actually test it. You can use an ohm meter. You can use a freeze frame oscilloscope, but those things are very hard to test correctly dynamically because you can really only test them while the vehicle is running. And in that case, you'd have to have a freeze frame oscilloscope, hook it up, and then you'd have to know what all those little squiggly lines on the oscilloscope screen mean, and they are not easy to diagnose. Let me tell you, it's not an easy thing to do. John Clay says, Scotty, I bought '02 Nissan Frontier for $3,000. Is it a good price? Well, how many miles? La, 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 la. But here's the thing. The Nissan Frontiers are decent pickup trucks. If I was going to buy one, I would get a Toyota Tacoma. You will probably pay 2 to 3 to 4 times the price for a Tacoma than you will for a Frontier. And the Frontier can still be a decent pickup truck. They just don't have the image. And rightfully so, because everybody knows Nissan makes a lot of crap. The thing is, their trucks are okay. Their cars stink, right? But their trucks are okay. Although, as of next year, they're not going to make the big Nissan Titans with the V8s anymore because they couldn't sell enough of them. There wasn't anything particularly wrong with them. They were pretty good trucks, but they couldn't compete with Toyota Tundras, Ford F-150s, Silverado 1500s, and the Dodge Ram, so Nissan's not going to make them anymore. Basically, him says, Scotty, how do you start your car without the key? Because I lost my keys. Well, you're in a pickle, baby. The thing is, if you can get any information, if you have your title, you should be able to go to a dealership with the title, say, this is my car, I lost my keys. And they should be able to give you the key code. Then you can take that key code to any locksmith and he can make you a key. And if it's got an anti-theft system, he can reprogram the anti-theft system to work with your car. That's the only thing you can do. Now, if you can't get that key code, then you're going to spend a fortune because you're going to have to change the whole lock assembly. That's going to have to be reprogrammed with the car. It's going to cost you a small fortune. So look for keys. And for those of you who may be in this position that he had his key and he lost it, I got a drawer here on my desk. You know what's in it? Spare keys for my cars and motorcycles because I don't want to ever get in that pickle. I always have at least 2, if not 3 keys for all my vehicles because if one breaks or you lose it, there's always one there because it is a royal pain in the hiney if you lose your key and you don't have another one. Joshua Laporte says, Scotty, do you think cars will be all electric soon? Well, soon is a relative term. Now, in terms of the mountains on the planet that take hundreds of thousands of years to grow, hey, if we have electric cars 40, 50 years from now, that would be soon for the mountains. For people, no, that'd be half your lifetime, right? There are too many obstacles in the way. Weight, cost, low range, no electric infrastructure in the United States to charge them. You can never give a time frame, though, because you never know. Maybe Toyota will come up with a solid-state car battery that can go 1,000 miles between charges. That'd be a game changer if it held up over time, if it could be recharged thousands of times, right? If it didn't start on fire. There's a lot of ifs there. So if we have electric cars, believe you me, it's going to be quite a long way in the future. Ela Ferry says, Scotty, my 2020 Kia Rio has a weird ticking noise, cold startup, happens till it's warmed. It happens for 10 seconds, goes away, then comes back until warm. 20,000 miles, is that normal? Well, unfortunately, it's normal for a Kia because they don't make their engines very good. They're not supposed to make any noise. They start making ticking noise, there is an internal problem in the engine somewhere, right? And that's typical with Kia. They just do not make good engines. They have engine problems. They've had to replace tens of thousands of engines. They just don't make them all that well. Now, eventually that engine's going to break. And you'll probably find when it does, Kia won't fix it because they'll say, oh, it's got too many miles on it. Now we're not going to fix it. So, If you're smart, take it to any of those car places, see what they'll give you. They buy cars cash. Maybe they'll give you some good money. Get rid of it. Because you say, once it's warmed up, the noise goes away. So you drive it there, the noise is gone. They won't find out till after the deal's cut, and it's too late then. That's what I'd do if I were you. Because that engine's going to go out eventually. They shouldn't make noise. And if they're making a ticking noise, they have internal problems. And it's only a 2020. Depending on how many miles you have on it, maybe you could take it to Kia, but you take it to them. They're just going to say, oh, there's nothing wrong. They all do that because they lie like dogs at those places, right? So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.